Good evening. The Who's today were on at Canterbury, a bit parkish, uh, but by the same token, nowhere as bad as we've seen it before, where it's been dynamite fence. But the fence was the place to be today. But they did come from behind. One runner came from last uh, and got a good run on the turn and won. But anyway, we'll get to that later. The track was good. The rail was 6 metres out. There was no wind, and the first race was 103.9 on the screen. She was got less, 98.5 only in the marketplace, and you can see 4% straight away with the favourite. There was $2.70 given about this favourite. We have a winner, $2.50 best luck, but there was $2.70 on the fence given. And look, even though it missed the kick, the favourite, and copped a little bit of a check at the start, it wouldn't have won with the start. The winner was the first runner backed, but then got back to its opening quote. You wouldn't have seen it. $5 was given about this runner early, and it was into $4.20 or even $4, but it got back out to $5 when the favourite was backed, and a little bit of money for a couple of roughies. Jay Ford was on board. He got outside the leader after they had gone out of the back straight, going around the circle, and he did stroll away and win by 4.3 lengths. The second horse was back in last position, trapped wide, Belladini. It ran on fairly well. Wouldn't have beat the winner, but it was a good effort being trapped wide. And of course, the third horse, well, it went around. It never took any part. It just didn't take part. Number 5, Rise to the Top. It settled down last on the fence. It got out when the winner was more or less hitting the line to get into third place, knocking the favourite out of that position. As I say, the favourite was a very ordinary run. The winner, even though the second and third horses had excuses and should have finished, I suppose, closer, they wouldn't have beaten the winner. The second race, there was only 101.5 on the screen, 97.5 in the marketplace, and this race, well, they chopped and changed up in the lead here, which more or less set it up for the winner. It never spent a penny. Tim Clark is riding a few winners. Timmy Clark, back from Honkers, and Instrumental. You wouldn't see it. $5 was the best luck, I think. I gave 6 like a fool. I gave $6 about this runner. They took the 6, they took the 5.50, they took the 5, 4.80, 4.60, 4.40. It started $4. It was 5s to 3s, and it, as I say, it never spent a penny in the run, sitting back in last position on the fence, getting off heels, turning for home, and it was able to come down the outside and beat Al Mahar, who also hadn't spent a penny in the run. It was third last on the fence, getting off heels. He only beat it by 0.3 of a length. Beaten by 0.6 of a length was Mr. Scary, ridden by the Pumper. The Pumper settled well back in the field on Mr. Scary, and down the back he took off. And before he took off, of course, there was a bit of pressure up front earlier on when the Scoffler eventually got to the lead, heading off Nandleton, who did run last, beaten 20 lengths. But as I say, the winner, he had the last shot at them, which turned out to be the winning recipe. If Mr. Scary doesn't take off, does he win? And does the winner and the second horse, do they get beat? Well, we'll never know, but you've got to work that one out for yourself. The others more or less had their chance. I thought if Mr. Scary doesn't take off, he maybe would have won the race. It's easy now. If he would have held on and won by a head, of course, everyone would have said, what a great ride, he took off at the right time. So you have to use your own judgment. In the third race, losing figures on the screen, 98% only, and a couple less in the marketplace, 96%. And this was won by the favourite, Barbed, having his first start for the Snowden camp ridden by Clever Karen McAvoy. We put it up $2.70, and at one stage it was into $2.50, very hard to get, if not $2.40, but it got back out to as much as $2.70 towards the end of betting. And it went straight to, it slightly missed a kick, but it just punched through and went straight to the lead, and it went straight to the lead, and it's trotted in. It won by 2.5 lengths from Test the Breeze, who settled back in second last position on the fence and made up plenty of ground to be beaten that margin, 2.5 lengths. And sitting third on the fence was Refer, and it got a run through with a slight check and was beaten 5.5 lengths. No more for the favourite. The next race, race 4. That's all about, you'd say, in race 3. That's about all you'd say there. The winner was just far too good. Race 4, it was won by Holy Thread. When they crossed the line here, there were 8 runners. 7 of them crossed the line with only 1.7 lengths in between the 7 of them. So with a little bit of different tactics and different positions in this race, you could have very, very easily had a different result. It was won by Holy Thread, who sat in the 1-1 position. Bugaboo, I didn't think it would lead Bugaboo, but it was taken to the lead by Bold Blake Shin. Thought it might have been coming from behind, just behind. I didn't think it was going to get well back in the field of 8, but did not lead. But he persisted in leading Bold Blake Shin. And when he did get to the lead after spending a little bit of petrol, he had an easy time with the turn. It hung out under pressure in the straight, and it was in front at the 100-metre mark, but you could see that it was taking short steps, and it took the whole length of the straight for Holy Thread to bob and beat Set of Rocks, who had spent a bit of petrol also in the run to get outside the leader Bugaboo, and it finished up beating Bugaboo. So Bugaboo's run, I suppose, being the $2.80 favourite, wasn't that good. Set of Rocks, as I say, it spent a bit more petrol than it in the run and was still able to beat it home. Coming off their heels was Moss Money, had every possible chance, and there was a little bit of tightening with runners getting up on the inside in that race. But as I say, there was 103.9 on the screen and only 101 in the marketplace. Run the race again, and you would get there's a good chance you would get a different result. Race 5, getting fat now, 107.3 on the screen, only a little bit less in the marketplace, maybe a couple less. And well, Loophole had box 1, and that won the race, ridden by Timmy Clark. It was an act of God that it won. It never left the fence and went through. The margins were 0.2 by 0.3. It led Tamariz. It got out in the market. Bookies reached for it very quickly. We put it up at $3.50 chance. It got out to as much as $6, back into $5, and it was taken to the lead, which was the predicted position for it, and ridden by Nash, Nippy Nash, and it was able to lead, control the race. It's not very big, and it was able to hold on very well. Unfortunately, well, there's Nash. Fancy Nash letting someone up on the inside of him. The horse, I suppose, might have got out off the fence under a little bit of pressure, being full bore, and sliding through from 3 back on the fence was Loophole, who was $7.50 into $6.50, never left the fence, got inside the leader, and was able to beat it by 0.2 of a length. The favourite, Lucky Largo, who was $3.50 out to $3.80, it sat back in 5th position, was slightly held up turning for home. It came down the outside, plugging away, and it was only beaten 0.3 of a length. The 3 of them crossed the line together. There was a runner that got trapped wide in the run, and that was Biljana. It wouldn't have won, I suppose, if it wouldn't have won, but it would have, most probably would have finished closer if it didn't have the torrid run that it had. So its run wasn't bad for a 40 to 1 chance. And similar to the previous race, run this race again and you would obviously get a few different results. There are a couple of runners that got slight checks in the run, but nothing, not to the extent which cost them the race by any means. Race 6 was still fat here in the per towards the end of the day, 108.6 on the screen, and only a little bit less in the marketplace, only maybe one less. And this was won by XL Equa, who came from last, but did get a dream run through on the turn, easing off heels, and like it did last start, finished very, very strongly. But today, instead of being running fourth last start, not beaten far where it was not unlucky, but did find the line. It was able to find the line against maybe a bit weaker company today, and things fell into place. It went to the lead. Kreskin, the rider, they're going to try a bit of gear on a different gear on it next start, and pulled up with a poor recovery rate. But it gave in very, very ordinary. It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't have mattered what the situation there. It was a poor effort. It led with Inside Job, who sat on its outside. It wobbled around the turn. The pumper, who drew barrier or box one on School of Turin, was tailing these two leaders. And when it got off the track a bit, Inside Job turning for home, well, the pumper went for the split, but the split closed. He thought about protesting, which he didn't, against Inside Job. He realised that there was insufficient grounds, and of course he finished up running third, and it held on very well, Inside Job, to run second. But the winner did give it plenty of length start, and as I say, came from clear last, getting in between runners and easing off the heels and coming down the outside to grab victory near the line. There was a runner in this race that for a 50 to 1 chance, what was his name? Aberdoin. It lost all of its momentum. It was back second last on the fence. The winner got inside it, and when they turned for home, the winner more or less didn't ease in front of him, cause any problems. But he lost. Aberdoin lost his momentum, and Aberdoin, and it found the line very strongly after losing its momentum. Not that it would have won, but it most certainly would have finished closer. I suppose the winner was the best run in the race. And then we came to the last, and they said there was 102.7 on the screen, a good 4 less in the marketplace, only about 98.5. And this favourite, Gamba, well, the punters who had the captain's section coming to the last race gave plenty of it back here, because this was backed as if there was no settling. It was $2.10 into $1.60 Gamba, 10 to 9 to 6 to 4 on, 13 to 8 on, and it sat outside the lead and wobbled around the turn like it did a bit last start, and it didn't go on with it. Bold Blake Shin saying that he most probably thought it had come to the end of its preparation. The trainer, Guy Walter, agreed. The horse is now going for a spell, and the vet ran his hand over it, and it pulled up with a poor recovery rate. Winning the race was Liechtenstein, and it had barrier 1, it had box 1, it held the favourite out. Most maps, including mine, had the favourite from the outside alley, 10 runners, it had barrier 10, crossing and going straight to the lead, but that wasn't the case. He wasn't able to cross early in the piece. Hendricks, who was it? It might have been Senator Moore. It was hunting up on the outside of Liechtenstein, keeping the favourite wide, but then it eased, and the favourite was able to get outside the lead very, very easily. But Liechtenstein, it was going strongly in the lead. When Gamba was under pressure, when it hung on the turn, it was able to get clear, and coming off it's back. The winner's back. Liechtenstein was Hendrikus, who had that lovely run, third on the fence, but was safely held beaten 1.3 lengths. And coming from midfield down the outside to grab third was Houston Benefactor, who will be improved by the run. But I wonder about that form. And in the last race, well, these were the flux. These were the flux. Besides this favourite and the winner, I suppose, were the only ones that were firm in the betting. Oh, there was one other runner. Don't mention the war. Don't mention the war. The flux of this race were Henricus went from $7 out to 12. Bardia went from $9 out to 21. Senator Moore went from $10 or $11 out to $51. Gamba, as I said, was $2.10 into $1.60, hard to get. Bilko went from 20 out to 40. Houston Benefactor, number 8, it was $10 out to $16. Liechtenstein was $11 out to $12, taken at one stage into 11, but back out to 12. Midnight Mix went from $8 out to 15. Don't mention the war. It went from $8.50 out to $12, and the bottom one, Paramount Pete, from 70 out to 151, back into 100. Losing figures. We did give you, we gave punters 11-1 Barrett, 11-1 Barrett, with one of the 11-1 chances, equal second favourites winning the race. Liechtenstein, the favourite, went poorly. That was about the meeting. It didn't play savage against the inside. You could run on, but by the same token, if you were on the fence, it was a big help. That was about the meeting. Nothing to write about it home about. The Grumble and Grunters are out there. They didn't spend much section with the captains. The captains' holds at my hold anyway today was very, very poor compared to a normal Canterbury meeting. So things are getting a little bit tough, but when the tough gets going, or whatever they say, when the tough gets going, the tough gets going. Or when it gets tougher, the tough get going. Whatever it is, and so you've got to try and survive in this game. Good evening.